you guys wouldn't believe how much time I spent on that. It's been a lifelong dream of mine for some reason or another to make a screensaver intro. And yeah, I would consider it, and I think many of you would as well, to be a complete waste of time. But nevertheless, I'm really excited about the fact that it exists now. And I imagine all the things I could do with a Calirado Kid screensaver. Maybe I'll make that a paid download, like $20 per download. That's how I'll really come into financial fame. Would you guys bite? Probably not. No, I'm not. Definitely, that's never going to happen. But I don't know why I wanted to make that, but I did. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on this, which seems to be a Saturday night, isn't it? And I'm stoked you guys could jump in here. It's been a little while. It's been a little while since we did a live stream. The last live stream we did was over in outside Brendan's Mad Laboratory. And if you guys remember that one, that was pretty amazing. He actually 3D printed a Mustache Guard for me real time. We designed it, printed it, and did all that stuff real time on a live stream. It was wildly entertaining. I thought it was a blast. If you missed that one, it was about a month or two ago, wasn't it? It's been quite a while, but I mean, we're here now, aren't we? As a side note, I do have the Mustache Guard here as proof that it exists. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Wait, hold on. Oh, he gave me one more thing. Okay, let's talk about outside Brendan. Hold on. Wait a minute. All right, check this out. So, all right, not only does the Mustache Guard actually exist in real life, okay, stand by, check it out. It's also incredibly painful to put on. I just want to be completely clear about something here. Let me cover my face up. So, wait, no, that's not going to work. Let me just get out of frame so it zooms. Stop focusing on me. Okay, look. There it goes. Look at the notches that Brendan put into this thing. And I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding you. It's a bit like an enema for your nose, but less pleasure. Wait, no. Okay, so let's just back this all up right back to the beginning. This one hurt. That's all I'm saying. And so, like, to pull off the shots that we pulled off in the reel that we collaborated on and the live stream, it took a lot of pain and pleasure to get this onto my face, because it literally just clamps onto the inside of your nose with sheer brute force. There it goes. Come on, camera. You're just letting me down on all fronts. Stop looking at me. Okay, hold on. Anyways, you guys get the idea. So the Mustache Guard does exist. And the fun part about doing this was the fact that we had people vote in chat which one we should do, which came off of this mug right here. So everyone voted on which number, if you guys remember this last live stream, and the number that won was number 13 right here. So if you guys remember that, and that looks eerily familiar to this, doesn't it? So it was a wild adventure. It was super fun. The guy's a mad genius. He's really talented, and I loved hanging out with him, just picking his brain. It's fun seeing everybody have a different take on the mountain biking industry. And outside Brendan is a like I said, a mad genius. Now, while I was there as well, he printed this out for me. I don't know if he already had this or if he just decided to just print it on a whim. But you guys know what this is? Okay, obviously, it's a cup holder to us. Yeah, kind of. Or like a beer cozy. But this is the size of the handlebars. So the idea is, and he showed me this, it just clamps onto the handlebars, and you've got yourself a beer cozy for your bike. Look at this guy. Now, I've never got into 3D printing, but I'm here to tell you it seems pretty rad. Like, some of the stuff that people are doing is like totally fun. I've never been that creative. I know it sounds weird. I've never been that creative when it comes to like building stuff so much as like making like content or jokes or whatever. But like, I've never been a big builder when it comes to things. So for example, like Halo, when I used to play Halo 2 back in the day, which is I was probably the greatest Halo 2 player in history. They had a forge, and the forge was you could make your own maps. No interest. I just was never good at it. And for whatever reason, never wanted to build things. I just wanted to consume the good maps that other people made. So that's the gist of it. We're going to catch up on chat. One of the benefits of doing a live stream right here is, one, we can hang out with you guys. You guys can ask questions. We can do whatever we want tonight. Everything is on the board. We got stories to tell. It's going to be a fun night. I'm glad you guys could come in pre-Super Bowl Sunday. So knowing me, I would have scheduled a live stream on Super Bowl because I forget sometimes that sports are happening. I just don't really watch many sports these days. But I did go watch the 49er game last week or whatever, because I was like, oh, 49ers are doing great. I haven't watched a football game in a long time. I used to love the Niners. My dad and I would go all the time. He had season tickets. And so I'm like, let me jump in. They're doing great, looking great. So I watched the game, and of course the quarterback, the fourth string quarterback who was just dominating all season, gets injured immediately. And then the third string, and then the fourth string gets injured. And then it was just like, oh man, that sucks. What a bad way to end a season. Not on their part. I mean, there's nothing they could do about it. But that just sucks. Like, there's not much you could do as a foundation, as an organization, other than say, man, we had a great year. Like, Our luck's just not great right now, but what are you going to do? I mean, that would have been fun to watch, man. I liked, having a vested interest. As it stands, I don't care about either team that's about to play in the Super Bowl, so I will probably not be watching the Super Bowl. Probably no interest. I'll just go take the kids out on an adventure or something. If you notice that drip, I definitely just spilled green tea, hot green tea, all over myself. But I think there's something to that, all right? It's rejuvenating. All right, Brown Tiger MT Beer says, first time catching you live. You're going to regret it, buddy. You're going to regret it. Yeah, thanks for jumping in. Boston Don MTB is in here. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you jumped in. Justin Drake is always less pleasurable, my guy. Ooh, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it does not look good. That thing hurts going into the nose. Sunday, Kenya, 6:05 a.m. Vibes by Junior. Thanks for jumping in. That is an odd hour, but I'm glad you could make it in here. And Aaron says I got to come back to Bellingham. I do want to make it back to Bellingham. If I do that, it's going to be another Whistler trip, right? I'm going to go all the way up, and I want to hit Oregon this time as well. I think it'd be rad. Bellingham, the trail system there was so good. What was the name of it? Galbraith, right? But everybody said I can't call it Galbraith. I got to call it Galby. So I don't want to get in trouble. I'll call it Galby just because I'll sound like a local if I do that. But yeah, incredible trail system. Loved it out there. Can't wait to get back. Hopefully next year. Wait, it is next year. Holy crap. We're in 2023, aren't we? Maybe this year I'll do another Whistler trip. I'd love to get that on the board. Active Life 2.0 is coming. Hey, buddy. John, good to see you, man. John's going to be at the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight, that is coming up. One of my favorite events of the year. It is event season for mountain bikers. So we've got some events to talk about. If you guys have any events lined up, let me know. I mean, I'm kind of curious to hear. I know of a couple major ones that we'll talk about here tonight that interest me because they're local to me, but I know what's the one place where Walmart builds all the trails, huh? Yeah, they've got a fest coming up. Tony from The Outsider is in here. Tony's one of my favorite people in the world. We rode Downeyville together, and it was like one of the best times, man. It was so good. If you guys didn't see Tony when we did a live stream from Sky Park, we filmed this like 90s style intro. Still to date, one of my favorite pieces of content I've made. It was just pure ridiculousness, and it was a blast. It's like, everybody looked at us in chat like, what are you guys doing? But I had a blast, and I think it turned out really good. MTB Ragin is in here as well. Just made a whiskey sour for it. Yes, jump on in, relax, feel comfortable, because that's what we're doing here tonight. We're doing a live stream, and it's been too long. It's been way too long. All right, so we've got a couple things to talk about. The thumbnail is obviously clickbaity-ish, but it's kind of an interesting story how this all fell into, and we're going to jump into like the tale of me landing an acting gig. I thought it was pretty funny, and it's like, purely based on all the random things that have happened around this channel, and because of this channel, that came into play. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But for the time being, like I said, you guys are in chat. Stoked you guys are jumping in here on this Saturday night. We're going to hang out for a little bit. I don't have any particular time schedule in play. We're just going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about mountain biking. Now, one of the things that I do want to talk about, and I'm curious about you guys in chat if you have this also. Do you guys have like maybe we've talked about this in the past. Do you guys have like a winter riding depression? Like in California, we don't have it so bad because most of the time it's still pretty sunny. But like when it gets dark out super early, right? So you go to work, you come home, it's dark already. So that means A, if you're going to ride, you got to do a night ride, right? And then B, on the weekends, when it does come weekend time and you got some free time, then it starts raining. And you're like, oh my God, like I can't win, It's just been a slurry of that lately. So it's like the last couple of weeks is finally like the last couple of days here have been absolutely gorgeous outside. Spring's coming in. Everything's leaves are starting to pop out and stuff. But boy, oh boy, doesn't that like take a toll on you? I feel like every year, I know I felt it last year too. It's just like being dark out all the time. And it just kind of wears on you. Like you just never get a moment of daylight. And it also turns out to be pretty hard for me because if I want to film something in the daytime, the only time I have to do it is maybe a couple hours on a Saturday or something, because otherwise there may be family things we're doing or whatever else. So it's like, it's even more stressful, I think, because it's like, you got to go there and you got to get everything done right off the bat versus like just being like, hey, I'm going to go film something and ride. Like, it's like, no, I have this specific time frame. I've got 2.5 hours to film, right? Do it like, and it's like, oh man, we're coming out of it though, aren't we? Do you guys have that? We're coming out of it though. Oh my God. It just takes its toll. And today was so nice. I got out from work early yesterday, and because we did a lot of work, right? We installed a transmitter, we did all this stuff. So got out of work a little early, okay? And so I was able to get out and film a couple things. The weather was nice. The sun is out. Baby, it's feeling good. The winter riding depression is officially over. The weather is getting nice, and the sun is coming out. I'm stoked on it. And yeah, I know don't worry, we're on the other hump. Now, again, I have a hard time complaining about that because we live in California and we have a tendency to have very nice weather throughout the course of the year. So I'm being a baby right now, right? But I think it's not so much the weather as it is like just getting dark early. That's the major factor, right? I know everybody else on the other side of the country has much more difficult weather than we do. I don't want to sound like a baby, all right? But I'm just saying that you're coming out of it. I just need more daylight in my life. You know, it's pretty tricky. It's pretty tricky. That's all. All right, we're good to go. Spokesman says, going to Phoenix, Tucson next week to ride Haas, South Mountain. I am not in shape. Yeah, today's ride was a reminder that I am also not in shape, Steve. Is anybody going out to the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival? It's something that it turned out to be like one of the funnest events. And that's coming up in March. I'm going to be out there the first weekend. I don't know if you guys heard or not. I posted on Instagram. I just posted on Instagram on my story, so you may or may not have heard. I got to find a way to like disperse more information readily. I'm not sure how to do that, but we are going to be hosting a group ride. I'm going to be hosting a group ride for Trail Manos on Saturday at the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest at 1 o'clock. So that's on the board. If you go look at their page, they have it posted. I got to make an official post of that. I've just been putting it in stories, but I'm kind of stoked on that. I've never done an official group ride. And the funny part is I reached out to Trail Manos reached out to me and like, I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. So anyways, I reached back out to him. I was like, okay, we've got everything lined up. Perfect. What trail are you riding? He's like, oh, we were thinking about these trails. He's like, do you know those trails? I'm like, no, I don't know any of them. So he's, thankfully, I think they're going to put somebody in charge of actually guiding us, but because I just spend 80% of the time talking. So I'm really kind of like excited about the group ride. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to just chit chat and talk with people. And that's really what it's going to be. But we're also going to go on a good ride. All right. We're going to go on a good ride, but trust me, I'm not going to get you lost. That's what I'm hoping for. Cause I told him 75% of the time, every time I get people lost on a ride. I don't like looking at Strava. It's so much better when you have somebody that can show you around. That's what happened when I went to Galbraith and all that stuff. Just having people just like, hey man, I'll show you the trails. So much easier. I love it. I love it. So that's what's going to happen in Sedona. If you guys are going to be out there, come check it out. If you haven't been to Sedona, I always say like, make it a point to get out to Sedona at some point. I really do think like that's probably the best mountain bike event I've been to. It's just really chill. It's more about riding than anything. And you can come back and just hang out with people. It's a great opportunity to meet new people. Group rides. They organize a lot of group rides out there, and they have shuttles everywhere. So you can just jump on a shuttle as long as you pay, and it's included in that and all that stuff. So man, it's so good. And we're going to meet a lot of people out there this year. There's gonna be a lot of people going out. It's always fun. I'm still riding 3 to 4 times a week, says Mesha. It doesn't matter if it's raining. Yeah, I know. It's because you're a boss hog. I see you doing trail work out there too, man. I know Sedona is going to be very humbling. John is riding full. So I've been riding Granite Bay a lot. Nate Ride says, I live in Tennessee and we got like 3 inches of rain every week. It sucks. I wish I live in Utah because they have some killer trails. I know. Yeah, it's also, have you ever sent the white line? No, I haven't sent it. We rode up to it. I walked it. It's funny that even when you walk the white line, like you're slipping downhill. It's just treacherous. Even if you're riding it, walking it, doesn't matter. I mean, but like really it's all mental because when you ride it, your tires seem to gain traction pretty well. It's that final turn that gets you. It's purely a mental game because looking down is you're staring death in the face. You know, it's a sheer canyon drop and you have to just kind of pivot your bike and angle it straight downwards and then turn again. Like it's like this, it's pure mental fortitude that'll get you through that one. And we were out there. Josh was like, you know what? We started the ride. Josh from Daily MTB Riders like, look, my brakes aren't really working. And then when we got to the white line, he's like, I'm going to go ahead and send it anyways. I'm like, are you crazy? That's the kind of guy Josh is. He's a maniac on the bike. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but he kind of hides it. You know, he doesn't tell everybody how good he is. He's pretty spectacular, you know, pretty spectacular. Let's see. How you feeling about the Bentonville Bike Fest? You know, I don't know much about it. It looks rad. I mean, it seems like everything that comes out of Bentonville is pure mountain biking bliss. But I just don't like, I haven't even researched Bentonville a lot other than the fact that I know that everybody knows it's rad. Like, and it looks so cool. I just don't know if I'll get out there in May because what's going on in May? They're doing dirt days up here in Nevada City in May, I believe. But man, Bentonville would be a haul. If I could get like somebody, maybe a company or something to help fund that trip, it may be more likely. But like as is with the amount of trips and stuff that are going on, I don't know if I'll make it work. But I love the idea of just hanging out with people. But I just, man, I'm already in the hole. You know how it is, Tony. We just spend so much money at this, this whole procedure. I know. Matthew says, currently sleeting, snowing here in Asheville. Wow. Yeah, dark by 6. I know. That's the biggest thing about like this winter riding depression, as I call it. Not a real depression, of course, but like just the darkness getting early. It just kind of weighs on you. You're like, man, I just want to ride my bike in the sun. And it's just like, it's harder to do. That's all I'm saying, especially with full-time job, family, everything else. It's just, you got to play your cards right. And then when it rains on the on the weekend, it's just a punch in the nuts. That's all I'm saying. All right. We're going to get back on track. Yeah, I highly recommend going to Sedona. It's going to be super fun. Apparently, Chamois Butter is sending me a bunch of stuff to just hand out there. So that also blends me into an actual pretty cool announcement, by the way, guys. I'm stoked you guys are here. So Chamois Butter, we've worked with Chamois Butter in the past. I talk constantly. It's a small company. So there's like the owner and then the owner's daughter, who I think I talked to on social media, and a couple other employees. Really rad. They're just really stoked on the mountain bike game and biking in general. And they're always, we're always kind of bouncing ideas off each other. Anyways, they've been super supportive. They want to help fund a dig day, like a kind of a hangout with Calirado Kid. So I'm going to be organizing that. Some of you guys aren't local, so it doesn't make sense. But like if locally, and then maybe something bigger later. But like that way, they're like, hey, we'll take care of food and everything. You guys just organize it and get people out. I'm like, that's pretty rad. Like, how cool is that? I dig that it's their idea. Like, I didn't pitch it to them. They were like, hey, like, just let us know if there's like a Calirado event to like that we could help with. I was like, cool. So that's going to be rad. I really like the idea of that. And a dig day is perfect because on a ride, it's a little trickier to organize food and stuff. But on this, you're all getting out, you're all digging. You have plenty of time to just hang out and talk and dig and do all that stuff and then come back for lunch. So we're going to be doing something like that in the future, which I'm really stoked on. And yeah, we will be serving chamois butter popcorn while we're there. Yes. So that's all going to be happening. In addition to that, here's something fun that has happened. Speaking of like people I've worked with. Now, I've had the benefit as this whole thing has progressed and gotten bigger of working with brands that have been very cool to deal with. One of the things that's like been advantageous is that most of the brands that I've worked for on a pay level have all given me autonomy of the content I create and stuff like that. And they've been digging the vibe. And that's really like helpful for me because, like I haven't had to deal with someone who's like, back in the day, Brian would say like Joey Trek, or is just like very pushy and all that stuff. I've been very fortunate to work with some brands that have been really cool. Like Chamois Butter's one of them. Ninja MTB Performance. They sent me the ramp and they sent me a bike stand as well. We did that reel together, which was like the Step Brothers one. By the way, that hit like 3 million on YouTube already. It's still going. I don't mean to brag. Anyways, and then so there's a new partner in play, and this is not officially official because I haven't signed it yet, but I'm kind of stoked to talk about it anyways. There is a brand, and I think this is going to work out really well. Not that what you would think, because it's not necessarily mountain bike related per se, but this particular brand reached out to me. They were stoked on what's going on here. I talked to them on the phone. They're very outdoorsy people. The guy I talked to, he's like, oh yeah, I go up to Tahoe every other weekend, go snowboarding. The other guys over here ride Mount Tam all the time. They're always mountain biking. It's such a rad, like kind of outdoor oriented group of people. And the brand that we're officially is going to be a sponsor for the Calirado Kid officially is going to be Everyman Jack, which is like a body wash, deodorant, like a kind of like everything like that. But they're super rad and they're super supportive of what's going on and they're kind of on board. So I'm on board and we're going to be talking about it more in the future. I wanted to talk about it, but there's not a lot to talk about yet. Nothing's even officially signed, but I've got it. I just don't have a printer at my house. So that's really the only thing holding this whole multi-million-dollar deal up. But it's something that's rad. And I think of like creative ideas of ways to integrate that and stuff that I do. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast, and I'm stoked on that one. So I count on each and every one of you washing yourself with Everyman Jack from now on, all right? And I want to see videos live for proof, okay? And we're going to, maybe a step too far, but anyways, we're going to be talking about that more in the future. A brand I'm excited to work with. And again, I've been fortunate to work with some pretty rad people, and it's crazy that this all happened, isn't it? Like Giro's been rad as well. Like they sent me a ton of gear. They've been a great partnership. There's just, there's cool things happening. And it's probably 87% because of the mustache, I would have to assume. I mean, what more could it be? What more could it be? Yeah. Yeah, I know. MTB Raging, I just said 3 million brag away. It's funny how these shorts work out. So the one that I did with the tires in the garage, believe it or not, on YouTube is about to hit 10 million views, and it's still going. Like, what the hell's going on with it? I don't know, but we'll take it. We'll take it. What am I going to do about it? Nothing. Sit back and collect the $2 paychecks. I should send you guys, because YouTube has changed the monetization on how they monetize shorts. And so it does bring in revenue now, but it's like, you know, it's like 0.05 cents per 1,000 views or something. So it's still, we're in it for the long haul, Army. The way that I'm going to make money at this is through sponsorships and working with partners and stuff like that. It's certainly not going to be ad revenue at this point until I start making full-time YouTube videos again. But, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We're going to stop talking business now, all right? We're going to jump right into all the cool stuff. All right, can I tell you guys a story? Wait, I'm going to catch up on chat, by the way, because you guys are here, and I'm stoked that you guys are here. I can't believe Bobo's here. Bobo, it's late over there, isn't it? Oh, man, look at this. Trail Features throwing in $5 in the chat. Joe, good to see you, buddy. I was all that soap, but still a dirty mouth. I know, 100%. 100%. Wait, can I read that a little bit differently this time? Hold on. All that soap, but still a dirty mouth. That's good. See, no wonder why I landed an acting gig, right? Let's talk about it, huh? This is what we're here for. Let's talk about it. This is a funny little story. I thought it was kind of interesting. And it also bleeds into like a motivational speech. Okay. So it's going to be like it's a story about how I'm basically an international superstar in addition to an actor, in addition to a motivational speaker. It's going to be there's a lot of things all at once. We're going to figure this out. All right. So wait, let me catch up on chat first. Why does every YouTuber live in North Carolina and I live in Texas? I don't know. Move to North Carolina, then you'll be a YouTuber. I think is how that works. Frequent flyer. I could be entirely wrong about how that process works, but we don't know. MTB Rage says, I actually got all those tires too. I know. Which one of you guys in chat does not have 8 unusable tires in your garage at this moment? Raise your hand. I'll be curious to find out. Mediocre mountain Mediocre mountain biker is in here. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, buddy. So it'll be a long time before you can afford that Gulfstream. I know. No kidding. I know. What kind of bike do I have? I've got right now a Revel Rascal. Revel was rad enough to send it to me. It's not officially my bike at this moment. It's a long-term loaner, but I'm loving every bit of it. Like, it feels super nimble. I've been just hauling ass on the trails out here and having a blast with it. So it is really a capable bike. I'm liking it quite a bit. So the Revel Rascal, I can fully endorse. And you also have to take into consideration that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to bikes. All I can tell you is the bike feels fantastic. Like, I really like it a lot. It's light, it's nimble, and it's good looking. And that's really kind of how you would describe me as well, wouldn't you? Like, is that, or am I stretch? Is that a stretch? Okay, we'll find out. We'll just keep moving on. Paul Schoen is in here also. He says, I make almost as much off YouTube as I do in radio. Yes, Paul Schoen's amazing. He's got a channel that does Model A vehicles, I believe, right, Paul? And that's so interesting because I always think of that like when you watch YouTube, and how many of you guys, I mean, probably go all over the place with YouTube videos, not just mountain biking content, but like you end up finding stuff that you never would have known you were into. And like, it's funny. I watched some of his videos. I'm like, I had no clue I was into Model A cars, but here we go. Now I'm watching all this. Like, it's just like those little subgenres that you just, especially when they're presented properly with a good host and stuff, it's so engaging. And like, that's something we lacked. We take this back all the way to like middle school or something, or like elementary school, when like we had teachers that were teaching subjects, and I'm like, man, I don't like any of this. I'm not interested in any of this. Maybe you came to the realization that maybe it was the teacher. Maybe the teacher wasn't passionate about that subject. Maybe because, like, have you ever been in front of someone who was like really passionate about something, and you couldn't help but be like, yeah, I'm in. Like, this is so cool. Like, if somebody teaching history in my school would have taught it in a cool way, like the same way these YouTubers teach it, I would have been hooked. I would have been all about Napoleon's Bonaparte, you know? Wait. But yeah, anyways, like, so maybe it's just presentation is key sometimes. That's all I'm thinking. Maybe that's we're just gonna, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Uh-oh, Bobo's got a mustache again. Bobo's mustache might be better than mine. I'm not quite sure. He's got more girth on it for sure. I mean, there's no question about it. If you guys seen Bobo's mustache, what I lack in girth, I make up for in depth on my mustache. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Have you ever considered building or trails, public trails, kind of like backyard trail builds? No, I'm not good enough for that. I like it. I like the skill set, but my time is so limited right now as is with full-time job and everything that, like, I barely have time to ride. So, like, I would love to do something like that, but I would need a lot more spare time to do it. It would have to be like that, right? So if I was at this full time, I would have all time to do all kinds of weird stuff. I've got a kid's playground in the backyard that I meant to tear down and turn into a bike feature. It just never did it because I can't imagine spending weekends, a bunch of weekends doing it. It would just be a massive undertaking, and it would just be a lot of time, you know? So there's just certain things I have to prioritize, you know, in terms of like do I go make content and ride, or do it like, you know how it is. It's just all time management. Spokesman MTB's making it rain in here. Just a little drip, drip, dropping 99 cents a piece. I feel like a McDonald's drive-thru right now. I don't know if that also makes sense. All right, there was a $20 donation. I'm sorry. Wait, Chase Pest for you. Wait, is that right? Am I pronouncing that right? He didn't even say anything. If you got something, say it in chat, buddy. Oh, there he is. Lunch on me. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. I'm stoked that you guys are in here on this Saturday night. I won't hold you for too long, but we're going to do some storytelling. I'm going to answer some questions. We're going to do a good old-fashioned Calirado live stream. That's what we're doing here tonight. SoCal MTB Adventures is in here as well. Now, let's talk about them for a second since they jumped in chat. I think this is interesting. One of the things that's always been my goal is to, as I progress and get better at what I do and like have more influence in what I do, I always think it's interesting to look at like how people are editing and what kind of effort people are putting into videos and like, and reward that, like, or find a way to like help try to encourage that or help with that. Like, it's a situation where like I see what they're doing and they're really doing multiple camera angles. They're coming up with storylines in their videos, and like I like the effort. And to me, that's like the starting point for greatness. Like you're willing to put in more work than anybody else who's just kind of doing trending audio, which is also still good. It's not, that's how Instagram works. That's how it all plays. But when you're doing like, you know, multiple camera angles and stories and trying to tell jokes, like that is the start. And if you can start to keep evolving that and try something new in everyone and make it harder, more difficult, like think of new ways to improve, man, you can really hone the craft where most people just don't want to put in that much effort because it takes a lot of work. And I like what they're doing. I think it's super cool. They've been having fun with it. And at the very least, it's a great creative outlet, isn't it? Like anybody that's in here that's a YouTuber knows it's so fun to build a piece of content because everything that you do, there's no wrong answer. You can make it however you want to make it. Now, you know, some cuts may be tighter than others and some videos may be better than others, but like that is your creative baby. Like, so, you know, these big channels that get really, really big and they just hire somebody to edit it for them. That's different. We're not, none of us in here. Otherwise you guys sure shit wouldn't be in here. Okay. All right. Just making sure the kids weren't listening to that. Okay, here we go. Do you ever street bike? What is street bike, Shirley? What do you mean? Just like road bike? No, I don't have any Lycra. I don't like riding on the road very much, but I do have like a hybrid bike that I would commute to work with. But otherwise, like, it's just not that thrilling to me. Like, I kind of like the idea of navigating chunk and tech and stuff on the trails. It's pretty fun. Nate Rides MTB, can you please shout me out because I'm only 5 subscribers away from 2K? Get him to 2K then. Nate Rides MTB, thanks for jumping in, dude. First of all, thanks for coming in here. Nate Rides MTB. He only needs 5. If you guys want to go squeeze on over there. We're not going to turn this to Subscribe Fest, but I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, everybody's a Bobo fan. Bobo's the best. He's probably the greatest. I don't even think there's anybody that could argue that. Nobody. All right, we're catching up. If I miss anything, just type it again. So let's talk about this story that I think is pretty interesting. Still making it rain over here. Yeah. SoCal MTB says, we hired our dad to edit for us. Yeah, you better start editing yourselves, all right? You better put it all in your palm, all right? You guys all need to know all the different skill sets. That's how you succeed. Every one of you needs to know how to get camera angles, know how to edit, know how to make thumbnails. And if you could do that, like then you've gained, you have to know how to do it all. Like even now, us managing finance and like now I've got to be my own manager and like publicist and marketing person. That's what you have to know how to do everything, don't you? Like, and if you don't know how to do that, oh boy, you're going to learn along the way. Oh boy, aren't you? So it's definitely something that happens over time, one little step at a time. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm still figuring it out as I go, but just learn how to do as much as you can. And most people won't put in that amount of work, no matter what it is. They just won't take it that step further. They won't. It's that self-push. You have to. You got to self-push. Speaking of which, let's get to the story. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for jumping in. Ian Schneider is in here too as well. All right, so here's the deal. This is pretty fun. So one of the side effects of this channel and having people in here and meeting a lot of cool people along the way has been, you know, I like talking to people on Instagram. People reach out to me all the time. I just kind of, I have a clever response, or I'm like, oh, really? Where are you? Like somebody be like, hey, cheers from Germany. Love your videos. Be like, oh, where in Germany? Like, I'm genuinely curious. I want to find stories. I want to see what people are up to. And sometimes that goes weird directions. So in this particular case, yeah, it's so funny. Like one of the people that follow me, she's super rad. Turns out she works for a production company out of the Bay Area. And we had talked back and forth occasionally. And she was like, hey, I'd love to like work on a project with you at some point. And I didn't know what that meant. You know, I don't know if that meant like come in to help me film a video for my channel, like a reel or something like that or whatever else. But it was like, yeah, totally. Like it's just time wise. If we can make it work, I'm down to do it. anyways, time goes by, Angie's like just kind of doing her own thing. We'll chat every now and then about riding because she'll go riding, I'll go riding anyways. Well, one day she hits me up and she goes, hey, like we've got this shoot that we're doing and there's a roll that I think would be good for you. I was like, really? Like, so, okay. Let me show it to me. I mean, I don't know what to do here. So she's like, okay, like go to this, go check it out. Here's the script, all that stuff. And to me, it's so interesting because like what we do on a daily basis with this YouTube thing and the shorts and the Instagram and everything else that I film, really what it boils down to, and Bobo could probably relate to this as well because he's the king of this, but you write a script where you talk to yourself. And so it's very interesting because oftentimes you're just, you're looking slightly off camera and you're talking to nobody. You've got to deliver this line to nobody. And then you have to change the way you deliver the line each time because you never know which one you're going to need. So sometimes like, and if I had the proper plan, but sometimes I hit it and I'm like, that was the one, that reaction. And sometimes it plays better. So anyways, it's very different experience than what I just experienced on the set. Okay. So this happened. And so we got to talking. I submitted a couple videos just for their production company to look at. I didn't know what they were looking for. I'm totally out of my element at this point. And it's very obvious that like every part of me kind of wanted to just like, kind of not say no, but just be like, man, that's a lot. Like I was kind of nervous, right? You're just, it's completely a fish out of water, out of my element, not sure what to expect. The nerves are flying. I'm like, it's so much easier for me to just stay home and take the kids to school and do my normal routine versus taking a day off work, drive 3 hours one way, 3 hours back. It's a massive inconvenience to a certain degree, but it's like nothing should stop you from doing something so wild as that. So I'm really like excited about the fact that on a personal level, that I was able to push through that desire to have comfort, right? I've always said it like, if you're comfortable, you're probably not learning anything new. And every part of me wanted to just be comfortable, right? And so I was really excited about the fact and proud of myself kind of to a certain degree that I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's do it. I got online. I signed up for this thing. I submitted it. I was like, okay. And then she ended up telling me, she's like, oh, you know what? We filled that role because just whatever. And it was like, all right, so fine. Wasn't going to come to be. And she hit me up that Friday before the Monday shoot. She's like, hey, actually, I was like, oh man, here we go. So again, every part of me is like, man, it would just be so easy to say no here and just be comfortable. But I'm really glad I did not because what an experience it was. So anyways, the bottom line is I find out Friday night basically that I'm going to be going to this thing. I call or I send an email like, hey, can I take the day off work? Can I get over here? I got to drive to Santa Cruz, which is a 3-something hour drive one way, 3 hours back. So I drove out Sunday night. I drove through, like got there late night, just found a random hotel in the forest, stayed in this hotel, didn't sleep very well. Anyways, woke up in the morning and it was like 8 a.m. call time on the set. Now, what they had done is they had filmed already. This was the final day of the shoot. There was a 10-day shoot. And they had already done 9 days up in Tahoe filming all these snow action sequences and all this other stuff. And so the final day was in this old bar. And it was all in this old bar. And I got to think of the name of it. If I can figure it out, I'll say it. But anyways, it was this old bar that existed in the time of the gangsters. All right. So like my understanding is that they showed us around. The owner of the place showed us around. And he took us in this back area where there's basically like, it was this decrepit area. It was kind of like they're going to be remodeling it. But there's a stream that comes through it, like a river comes through the dining area. And they said that Al Capone used to sit down there and eat right over there. And they showed us like all these hidden compartments. Like there was this hidden room that if you climbed up this ladder and opened up this slat door, there was like a money counting room. And then in addition to that, there was like a tunnel where there was like a thing, like a bar area with like a mermaid and stuff. And then there was like they said the gangsters would come up and like pick one of the mermaids. And then they would just go in this underground tunnel over to the actual hotel. Super wild stuff. I don't remember. Now the fact that I don't remember it is the name of the place. But anyways, this is where we're filming. It's just an old bar. I thought the story behind that was fascinating, but we get there. And so I find out that I walk inside. I'm totally out of my element, man. I don't know what to do here. It's a set full of people. There's tons of people around, sound guys, makeup people, like just cameramen, all this stuff, just an actual set. Yeah, it's like it's just uncomfortable, right? Because you're not really sure what you're getting into or what you got to do. So what I had been told at that point, because I hadn't gotten the role, but they wanted me to come in as an extra. So, and if you guys aren't familiar with an extra, pretty straightforward. All I do is I come in, I stand around, and I just kind of be in the background and do stuff. I'm an extra, okay? So I walk in, And I just like start hanging out and talking to people, like, because I like doing that. I'm pretty familiar with doing that. I go out to events all the time. So anyways, I'm like, hey, what's up? Like the director says hi. I talk to him for a little bit, start asking questions. I meet the sound guy. I'm talking to the sound guy and asking him questions. Like we're just chatting, chit-chatting, just talking. They showed the manager wanted to show them around the hotel. So I just tagged along. Like, what are you going to do? Kick me out? Because yeah. Anyways, so then after we do all that stuff, he goes, you know what? We're going to make you one of the lead roles for one of the gangs in this scene. I was like, oh God. Okay. All right. I've made it. So here it is. So what they did is, instead of being an extra, they gave me some lines. And so I was like, oh no, here we go. It's terrifying, just terrifying. Because again, you have to consider the fact that when we do what we do, and we're capable, I'm capable of purveying emotion. See that? Acting. I'm capable of purveying emotion, but usually when we do it, again, we're just kind of staring off screen and acting like we're talking to ourselves. This is very much different because it's a room full of people counting on you to get it right. And there was like 4 people that I had extras as my gang. So it's me and 4 other people. There's another gang that's a ski patrol, and they've got 4 people and 5 people total. Then there's the 2 lead actors, and there's a bartender, and there's all this stuff. There's a director in the scene. There's a camera moving through. There's an audio guy following me around. Like, whoa. Like that is, it's just something you got to get used to. Wildly out of my element. It's been so long. So very nerve-wracking because like basically the way the scene started, it's inside the bar. I've got to walk in, like open the door and then come in and like start this part of the scene. And so it's like, you're outside of this door, you know, this big wooden door, and the director, he's just inside. He's inside the bar, and you just hear him go like, action. And so you just got to walk in and like come in character and stuff. And I was like, man, just terrified. Like, again, not necessarily about the fact that I could pull it off, but more about the fact that like I hate disappointing other people and inconveniencing them in that way. And like I'm thinking like these actors think I'm an idiot. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just think I'm just screwing everything up. But as it progressed, everybody was really cool on set. You get more comfortable. The director was rad about giving me little minor corrections, like, hey, try this, like deliver it this way. And then it slowly got, you know, better and more efficient. Now, if I go back and look at this after editing it, it's entirely possible it's just I'm going to look like a buffoon. But I played it up for the scene, and I actually added a couple things to the scene because I was like, wouldn't it be cool if when I flew back like this, they grabbed me and then I came back in and they're like, that is a good idea. So I made some changes to the script, okay? And it all worked out. So like the premise is, and I found out later on, and I'm going to catch up on chat, but I'm going to tell this story a little bit longer. I found out later on the way that this whole thing progressed, like basically like the 2 lead characters come in out of the snow, they come into this bar area and they're like, whew, we made it. And then like these 2 rival gangs come in, they come after them. And so it's like me and this other like ski patrol gang. Now it's like silly. It's irreverent. It's not like a serious Clint Eastwood flick or something like that. But anyway, so I'm one of the leads of the other gang, and you know the other gang's over here, and we got to like fight over these 2 guys, and then a food fight breaks out. So we're throwing radishes and cabbages and carrots all over the room and stuff like that. It's pure irreverence at this point. And anyways, all this stuff goes on, and we got to film scenes. Now, all this stuff took place. I don't know if I'll ever see it. I think I will. They said they're going to send me a link. I don't know if I can share it publicly, but we're going to find out. They're pretty chill. They're a production company out of San Francisco. I talked to the director. I talked to the co-owners of the company. I just spent a lot of time talking to everybody on set because you have a lot of downtime. You film, they set up for one scene where you're filming in one direction. You do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Boom. Then they reset and you film the same thing from a different angle and do it over and over and over again. So we were there from 8 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. It was a massive shoot. I have a lot more respect for actors now because coming to find out, man, it is not like grueling. I don't want to say like, but you're there all day. You know, you've got to switch on and switch off constantly. It's like, okay, got it. Okay, you go sit over there for a while while we film this next thing. And then you got to come back in and then restart that energy. And it's like, oh man, like it's tricky. It's definitely a different experience. And it was fascinating, man. Like, so that was the story behind how I got there. Now I found out that this production company was hired out by a tech company and they're producing this big, like basically a 40-minute short film for like a corporate presentation they're going to be rolling in throughout the course of things, which is why I say it may or may not see the light of day. I'm not sure how it'll work out. I will get a link. I'll confirm with them if I can share my part. I'm sure they won't care. Like it'll be like whatever. It'd be good publicity for them. But if not, you know, we'll figure it out. we'll figure it out. But I think it did well. I think the lesson to be learned here, and like the pure positive pressure out of this whole process was like, it's so interesting because it's nerve-wracking as hell, but it's in a positive way. All of it was. And like, man, like I said, just getting out of your comfort zone is such a huge thing. Just not sitting around. Like, if you're comfortable, you're not pushing yourself enough. And this was such a wide awakening moment for me that it's like, man, I love that stuff. And it's so scary when you're just like, he says action, you got to open the door and like, just there's everybody's there. And you're just like, man, please don't screw this up. There was a time where I'm like, I can't even think of my line because I'm staring this guy in the face. Like, I don't look at people in the face when we act most of the time, right? Like, so it's so different, but it's like something that I want to hone now. It's kind of like a skill set that I think is lacking. And I think I want to do more. I think with like the Dustin Klein collaboration we did, even then we were filming each part separately. Got to do more scenes, memorizing lines, things like that, a new challenge. So it was really fascinating. It's having to memorize everything and deliver it in a full scene too, because normally behind the scenes action on how I normally shoot my videos, I'll have it on a script and I'll set the phone down and I'll deliver the first line and I'll do it like how I want to deliver it. I'll do it over and over until a couple different ways, just in case I feel like one way is funnier than the other later when I'm editing. And then I'll move on to the next line and then I'll deliver that a bunch of times. Then I'll do the next line and next line. Then I'll switch characters and do all that stuff. This is not that case. So it's traditional and it's like so different because I don't usually memorize anything. So it's, again, a skill set that I could certainly hone, but it was a fascinating experience. And again, I feel like it's definitely a skill set that I could get better at and I'm lacking in. So it's like partly a fascination for me now that maybe I'll land more gigs in the future and just give it a go. But like my role was like kind of like an aggressive, like, you know, like an aggressive, like, what are you doing here sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, hey, see? Acting. I mean, like, it's just a natural, just a natural. Oh my God. Anyways, like I said, the lesson to be learned is here, man. Like, if somebody gives you this weird opportunity, just go for it. I mean, like, within reason. Okay, within reason. Let's not take that too far, shall we? But like, man, what a wild experience. I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad that Angie reached out to me and just kind of made it happen for me because, again, I was going in expecting to be an extra. And it turned into something different. And I have a feeling that if I had been an extra, I would have been bored. I was still like just observing everything, learning how the camera was working, how everything on set was playing out. They had a guy with a fog machine just making fog in the room and stuff, right? So all this stuff was a great learn. I would have sat back and I was just absorbing it all, asking questions, learning from everybody. But like, had I not had a role with lines and stuff, oh man, it would have been way easier. But I'm so glad that they pushed me a little bit out there. And what a wild experience, guys. Hopefully I can share it with you when it does get edited down. And my understanding is with 10 days of shooting and the amount of stuff they were doing, they were telling me about the shoot they were doing in Tahoe. And they had cameras on the back of snowmobiles. They were doing camera drops from trees. They were like, it's a lot of money. Like, it wasn't a cheap, like, production. I'll tell you that. I know how much it was. I'm not going to say it here, but it was not a cheap production. Okay. And it was elaborate. It was really cool. So if you guys saw the pictures on my Instagram stories, that was the idea. That was what I was on set. They came in, they gave me makeup. So they made me dirty, look like I was in a fight. They messed up my hair and stuff. It was like, they put us in costume. It was a wild experience, man. And it was so weird. The biggest thing about this and how weird it was being on the talent side, always for the, like, basically the last however long I've been an engineer for radio. I've set up broadcasts for the talent. And at that moment, I was the talent. I was the actor. And I was like, whoa. It's weird because that kind of was like a dream of mine. When I was in high school, I did theater coming out of that, going into college. So I had done one play. I always liked the idea of it. Whether and why I didn't pursue it more, I'm not quite sure. You know, it's too late now probably, but I still think there's possibility to learn a lot more with plenty of time. But it was like so surreal in that regard because, like, again, everything up until that point, I had been the guy setting up for people. And it was me that people were putting makeup on and stuff. Oh, it was pretty wild. I don't know. I thought it was a really fascinating experience. I wouldn't miss it for the world. It was so cool. And hopefully I get to share it with you guys. I know it's going to be probably pretty silly when you see it. You're going to be like, that's totally Calirado. But I had an intense moment, all right? I had an intense moment in the course of the filming where the they throw me back and they throw me back into my gang members and they throw me back and I'm like, ah! And I go and grab the other person and just like one of the actors, I won't say actual actors, but look, I'm a decent actor. I'm not off. Yeah, I'm probably not a great actor, but one of the actual actors was like, man, that was intense. I was like, oh, thanks, man. And it was weird, like having people on set tell me I did well. I was like, that's kind of the first time I've ever done that. So again, you never know if a stranger is just like patting you on the back and trying to make you feel like you're not a complete idiot, or if they're being sincere. I took it as sincere from everybody that said that I did well, but you know, it was more important than anything, the learning experience. All I can say is if you guys get presented with an opportunity, don't shy away from it just because you're nervous about it, just because you're not prepared for it. Just all those things don't matter. You got to push through mentally and just give it a go. And you never know, man, it could be one of the coolest experiences you've ever had. And it really was. It was something to me that was very unique and very exciting and very nerve-wracking. But we came through the other side, didn't we? We came through the other side. The mustache intact and the good looks kind of intact. I don't know how we're good. We're good. Spokesman's over here making it rain all night long, by the way. Thank you, Spokesman, for being here. He's out in Durango now. I don't think he lives in Santa Cruz anymore. If you guys have any questions on that, I'm going to catch up on chat. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get into story time and I disregard chat, but that's not what's going to happen here. We're going to talk about, I'm here to talk to you guys. So it was an interesting story. What do you guys think of that? That was kind of cool, huh? Hopefully I can share the final product with you. I thought it was so wildly different from what I normally do, but at the same time, like I felt mildly prepared, like what I've been doing lately. And so now I want to like branch out on some of the videos I make and make some of them more like dark and emotional and stuff. That sounds so stupid, doesn't it? God damn it. Here we go. I'm an actor. Anyways, $1 Million Show. I'm moving to Hollywood. I'm going to quit YouTube. We're just going to start. By the way, I started looking up like how much paid acting gigs get. And it's like, just awful. It's so awful. Like I had to sign up for this website that like presents you with acting opportunities to get this one. And then they send you emails on like available gigs. And I'll click on it and be like, oh, we're going to $250 for 8 hours of work. You're like, oh God, like just no. Anyways, like it's so cool. It's really rewarding. It was fun as hell. And like I said, hopefully I can share that with you. All right, let me catch up on chat. Oh yeah. Okay. What do we got? Frequent Flyers gaining subs too. I like it. Yeah. You guys are chatting amongst yourself. See, one of the best parts about these live streams is you guys kind of hang out with each other too, which is rad. I really dig it. Because when I go on rants sometimes, I'm sure I lose a lot of you guys. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Yep. All right. Anybody got any questions? Shamey Butter Popcorn. That was funny. Thank you, Arrow. Yeah, that was a fun one. Shamey Butter, they didn't know I was making that. So when I made that first one, that Shamey Butter Popcorn one, that was just a weird idea I had in my head for a long time. And it was something that like, I find that when I have an idea, sometimes I can't let that idea go. So like it's in the back of my head and it prevents me from like thinking of other things because I constantly go back to that thing. Does that make sense? Like, so like that was one that kept popping in and I was like trying to think of new ideas and I'm like, Shamey Butter would pop in and I'm like, I would think of another camera angle or I would think of another way to execute it. How do you tell the joke better? I had to make it. I had to get it out so I could let the floodgates back in, right? Like that's happens to me sometimes where I'll have this idea and I'm like, I don't care how well it does. I have to make it. Like otherwise I can't stop thinking about it for some reason. It was so stupid. Anyways, Shamey Butter, when they saw that one originally, were so stoked on it. They reached out and they were like, hey, like we'd love to partner with you on something else. And that's when we did the Shamey Butter Toast, which I think has over 1 million views on YouTube as well. I'd have to look that up. There's so many. I don't know. I can't keep up. All right. So let's see. Next Eastwood right there. I know, right? Watch out. Right here. All right. My goal is 500 subs and just over 300. John, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for jumping in. Brown Tiger MTB says, I'm still a beginner when it comes to making MTB videos. I only have 19 subs. I'd be happy to only 50. It takes time. And you have to get better at what you do. And then over time, people will come. It just takes time. It's like I've learned that no matter how many times I tell audience members or whatever else, if I say like on Instagram, hey, go follow this guy. There's so few people that will do it. And I try to keep an eye out and scout talent that like is to me like doing something different or at least pushing their boundaries and you can tell. And I try to promote that. Like I'd love to build that up. I'm always open to questions. If people hit me up on Instagram or whatever, I try to answer questions. I like talking shop when it comes to editing videos and like how to improve and things like that. You'd be surprised at how few people hit me up about that. Like I've actually kind of gotten pretty good at making short form content and I've got a good knack for it. So one day I'd love to do a clinic on it and just like sit people down and be like, hey, here's what you need to know. But again, most people don't want to do the effort. It's a lot of work to do that. It's just harder. Let's see. Standing by. I know. NW Trail Series. Thanks for jumping in here. Says, glad you did it. What an experience. Yeah. What an incredible experience. Again, I can't tell you like how nervous I was to open that door for the first time when they said action. Like it was just like, oh my God, like, oh, I'm going to screw everything up. I'm going to ruin everything, you know, like, I'm going to, what's the line again? What's the line again? And then, yeah, you walk in and it's like, oh, we're off to the races. And then once I finally found my footing, man, it was such a cool experience. Outsider. I'm going to lose my voice because I keep yelling. Sorry. Tony, he nailed it. $2 super chat. He says the Brookdale Lodge. That's right. That's exactly right. The Brookdale Lodge. Dude, can I show you these? Hold on. Stand by. You guys are here live. We're going to do it live. F it. We'll do it live. Okay. If I can, I didn't have this prepared on the computer, but can I show you guys this? Is that okay since we're still storytelling? Okay. Check it out. All right. So can I show you one of the sequences? This is behind the scenes. Okay. So this is me when I started the day. Okay. Just sitting in the chair, right? Makes sense. And then they start to like kind of like rough me up a little bit. And then you got this, right? So this is like the progression of putting on the makeup and all that stuff. So you start to see that stuff. And then like you get to the point where you start to see like it come to full fruition, right? Where don't I look a little bit more menacing right there? Is that like how you describe it? Anyway, so that happened. And then they got the makeup on and all that stuff. And then I do have a couple shots where like somebody was in the back and they were able to snap this from one of the screens. So they were slating the final shot that I had to do right here. Pretty interesting. And then like there's a sequence. So basically what happens in this one is so there's a guy, like I've got to stomp on this dude. He's trying to crawl out of the bar and I'm like, your days are numbered, bud. You know, that sort of thing. And I just like come down on him. And so that's what you can't hear what I'm saying because she's in a monitor on in the back room. There's big monitors and stuff. You can see what's going on. Anyways, and then they hit me with like a giant snowball, which I'll go flying back. Okay. So like what happens here is if you can see, all right, hold on. You won't hear any audio. Okay. So this is just behind the scenes because we're doing a live stream and I like you guys. This is never before seen footage. Oh, it's not working. Hold on. How do you do this? Can you hit play from the other side? Okay, hold on. It won't work. This is embarrassing. I have performance. Just professional. I'm just okay. It's just sorry. It's just not working. None of this is working. But yeah, that's enough story time. It was so dumb. It's so interesting. Anyways, it was a hell of an experience. I'm stoked about it. It was fun. It was fun. Mesha says, always knew you had it in you, Joe. Congratulations. Yeah, it's just so random. I mean, who knows if anything will come with it, but at the very least, again, like I said, as an educational experience, pretty fascinating. All I can say is push yourself a little bit further. Let's see. Who am I catching up with? MTB Alex says, I was on acting classes in high school. It was fun, but I had a thicker accent. Yeah, it's funny. Like I did acting classes and stuff, but I totally don't remember any of it. Like I know I did improv classes. I used to drive to San Francisco once a week and go do improv classes in San Francisco. I couldn't tell you what we did in the class. Like it was a big drive for me and all that stuff. I just thought it was fascinating. Funny story. Okay, I don't know if I've told this. You guys are getting some really good stuff tonight, all right? This is really good stuff. So there exists a television episode entitled, what was the name of the show? It was called House Crashers. Did I tell you guys this before? There was a show called House Crashers. Well, it turns out that one of my friends worked for the company that produced House Crashers. And one day I got a text. She's like, hey, do you want to be on House Crashers? I'm like, what is that? She's like, it's like a home fix-up show. I was like, okay, what do I got to do? And so, because we had just bought a house, the wife and I just bought a house. She's like, well, I can't get you on the show. But what I can do is tell you where they're going to be when they ambush people for the show. I was like, what? So she's like, you just got to go to this Lowe's and you got to be there and you just got to walk around and look like you're shopping. And then they'll come and ambush you. They're going to be looking for young couples. And I was like, what? Okay. So the wife and I talked about it. We're like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So we went down to the Lowe's and it was quite obvious that we weren't buying anything. Like, we're just like this, like, okay, can I paint the picture for you guys? Cause it was just like, we're just looking at this like, you know, and so we're totally like obviously not going to buy anything from the shop. Well, eventually, let me grab my seat. Hold on, stand by. Eventually, the host of the show comes up to us, grabs us, says, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, you're fixing up your house, huh? What if we helped you fix up your house?" And we're like, "Who are you?" You know. Anyways, it worked out. They liked us, of course, because of course they did. At that point, I still had at least a little bit of personality here. And so like we were pretty personable. That translates well onto the camera. So they ended up hitting us up. And at the end of the day, when they were like, okay, we're going to give you a call. We're going to come by your house. We're going to scout everything out. And so when they did this, he was like, look, you don't have to, just somebody told you to be here, right? We're like, no. He's like, somebody told you, right? I don't know if we kept lying or if we just told them at that point, but it was pretty obvious we were a plant. Okay, we were a plant. But it was probably the greatest episode of television they have ever filmed. So I don't know why they would ever even argue with us, okay? So there's a show called House Crashers that exists, and it's called Colorful Cocina, okay? And if you can ever track this down, this is probably the greatest episode of television in history, and it stars the Calirado Kid before the Calirado Kid existed. And so they came to the house, they scouted the whole house, they wanted to redo the kitchen. So what they do is they come over there ahead of time, they have all their contractors walk through, measure everything and all that stuff. So everything is pre-planned when they film this over the course of 3 days. And so they remodel, when they finally did this show, we actually filmed it. It was 3 days of filming. They have you bring some friends in to help with construction. And then over the course of 3 days, you get a full kitchen remodel, and it's all paid for. And it was a wild ride of episode of television. It does exist. I have a DVD of it still. That's how long ago it was that I have a DVD of House Crashers Colorful Cocina that exists. If you can track it down, it might exist somewhere in the interwebs, but kudos to, if you guys find it, send me a message on IG or text me if you're one of my buddies or whatever, and just tell me you found it, because it's pretty fascinating. If not, we'll have a big viewing event one day. If I can get some clips from that, I'd love to show it in a future live stream. Would you guys be down for that? God, I realize I'm basically an international superstar all across the board, aren't we? Mm-hmm. I forgot about some of this stuff, honestly. I really did. In addition to the Papa Roach music video, which you guys will probably remember that too. There's all kinds of stories of getting into all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Justin says, this is probably too local of a question, but do you like Browns Ravine? The area is so hiker heavy. I don't know if I've ever ridden Browns Ravine. Justin, where is that? Like, I know that name sounds familiar. Maybe I've ridden it and I just don't like know specifically where, but remind me. Brown Tiger says, do you ever watch your follower videos? Like people that I follow? Like where? On YouTube or on Instagram? Be more specific, Brown. Thanks for the $2 donation, my friend. I do, like, on Instagram for sure. I'm like, anybody that I'm following, I'll see it come through on my feed and all that stuff. So it's super interesting. On YouTube, man, lately, you know, it's funny. Like, I've been watching like weird random stuff. I don't know why. I haven't watched as much mountain bike stuff on YouTube as of late. But I always like to scout out and see what people are doing. Like, I'm curious to see how people are editing and like what they're up to and like what steps they're taking to better themselves and all their editing techniques. And there's nothing wrong with just like shooting a ride too. But like, I always like to see what people are up to. Mark says that would be cool, Joe. I'd watched on how to do short form. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be something fun to do. Like, it's such a niche thing that like, hey, let's talk about editing or let's talk about the creative process. I mean, most of you guys wouldn't want to know about that, but if you do, just hit me up. Like, I think it'd be fun. I always thought that if I ever did like a Patreon style thing, I think it'd be worth my time to do like a lot of behind the scenes, how the fruition of the idea came out, how I pulled it off, like all that stuff, and show you like the whole process for some of these like successful videos. Like that, I think it'd be fun because I could sit there and commentate over them and tell you the stories behind it and like what happened. Like, oh, this, you should have seen it. This guy right here, show behind the scenes clips. Like this guy jumps in the shot right here. Like I got so much stuff like that. I've never done anything with it. It's just hours and hours of content, I'm sure. Do you have ADHD? It's entirely possible. I don't think so. I've never been diagnosed with it. I'm pretty good with my attention span. I watch slow movies, so I can't have ADHD. Like There Will Be Blood is one of my favorite movies of all time. And if you had ADHD, I have a feeling you'd have a tricky time with that. All right. So that's all I'm saying. I can't have it. Calirado Kid is super approachable, always answering questions that I have ever asked. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if usually people hit me up on IG, I try to respond. Like I like talking to people within reason. Like if you call me an idiot, like I'll probably be like, you're right, but did you have a question? Like, anyways, it's been known to happen. It's been known to happen. How do you get your real ideas? A lot of it's just stuff that we deal with on a regular basis. And then you think of like how to make it funny. The trick is to like make it a caricature of what it is, right? A caricature of what it is. So like what's funny about like, okay, tightening your spokes. You know, like most people tighten their spokes, but like every time I do it, I tighten 1, 3 get loose. Like that was the start of that idea, right? And it's like, okay, well, how do you make that more of a joke? How do you make that more of a caricature? Like an elaboration? Like you got to really go overboard to make it funny, you know? And so that stemmed into that spoke video where I'm tightening the spokes, which actually did really well, millions of views across the board. But it's like that one, and you're like, huh. And then the two, you're like, what? Like, and as you keep tightening more and more spokes, like the joke gets funnier, and then you make it faster and faster and faster. So it's like, ah. It's like you could see the frustration in the face. And that was like, the funny story behind that reel, by the way, is if you guys didn't see the tightening spoke video, is that when I first filmed it, I screwed it up. I didn't get one of the shots that I wanted. So originally my goal was to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, which would have been funny. The joke still would have been there. But what it ended up being, because I didn't film one of them, or I thought I had record, but I didn't, I ended up coming up with that idea of doing like 1, 2, and then like another one, and then like a bunch more, and then faster and faster, because I had to reuse a couple cuts in that to make that work. And that turned out to be way funnier anyway. So I'm glad it all worked out. Sometimes if you don't have the footage, you can still make it work, which is kind of cool. Snowboarder on meth. Oh, shoot. Okay, let's see. Yes. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I appreciate you guys being here in chat. I'm stoked to talk to you guys tonight. Dom's92's jumping in. Good to see you. Mm-hmm. Matt wants a bike. I don't think so. I don't think you can have it. I'm not that rich. Man, I do have my Yeti still. It's in the garage. I ran into somebody on the trail today. They said, hey, where's the Yeti? I was like, she's in retirement for now. I beat the hell out of that bike in Whistler. The wheel is totally untrue because of the skit that I just talked about, the one that I filmed. The wheel's just wobbly all over the place in the back. The eagle axis stuff is totally shot. Like, I was shifting and like it was saying I was in the third gear and like I was all the way at the end of the cassette. So I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, there's so much stuff that I just need to get it worked on. But like for now, the Revel, the Ranger has been the daily driver. It's an incredible bike. I've been loving it every minute of it. I feel super nimble. Like, you know what I've been doing more of now? It's like almost like not trial style riding, but like getting up on rocks, stopping, moving, maneuvering. A lot more slow movement tech style riding has been pretty cool. And the Revel like feels so capable at that. Like, I didn't feel that comfortable on it with the Yeti. I don't know how to describe what part of the bike makes that change, but I can tell you like now I feel like I could just stop on a dime, maneuver, position, like, and I feel a lot more control on the rocky stuff, which is going to come really good into play in the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest, because Sedona is very rocky and sometimes you need to maneuver slow tech. So I'm pretty stoked for Sedona. I can't wait. If you guys are going to be in Sedona, I mentioned earlier, we are going to be doing a Calirado Kid organized group ride, the first official group ride in Sedona. So that's going to be fun. I'm really excited about that. Let's see. I'm catching up again. Thank you guys for jumping in here tonight on this Friday night. Let's see. Boss Don says, what year is the House Crashers from? The title. It was called Colorful Cocina, but I don't remember what year it was filmed in. It had to be, God, I couldn't tell you, but it exists. Like I said, I do have the DVD. So if I ever decide to get pretty happy, like pretty nice, I could cut some clips out of that somehow and share it here. I think that'd be pretty damn funny. Spokesman, by the way, how the hell did I miss your $50 donation? Nobody in chat is calling me on this. Damn it, what an idiot. Spokesman Steve, thank you, brother. He says, I want to be like you when I grow up, Joe. I'll have a bourbon in your name. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's just most of the time I'm a mess. Every now and then I hit one out of the park, and then you just go from there. The acting thing was so fun. Anyways, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you being here tonight. Hopefully I'll see you out in Sedona. I'm pretty sure you're going. I am pretty sure you're going. Hopefully you're coming on the group ride too, man. It's gonna be fun. It is gonna be. Oh boy. Did Josh is here. Here we go. He says, you YouTubers make a butt ton of money, right? You have enough to buy us all a bike. That's right. Josh has more e-bikes than anyone. One of his videos recently was all the Chinese companies just sending crappy e-bikes his way. He's like, please stop. It's so good. Josh has actually been doing some really great coverage on like the state of the mountain biking industry, the way things have been changing. If you haven't seen those videos, make sure you go watch them. It's pretty fascinating because I know a couple people that now have been affected by the downsizing and things like that in the mountain biking industry. So like at first it's when you hear about this, you're like, oh, there's some changes coming to the mountain bike industry. The basic synopsis, and Josh can correct me on this, is that of course companies all over ordered coming into COVID because sales were up. People were riding more during COVID, and supply chains were screwed up. Well, now what happened is now that COVID's not a thing anymore, all those supplies rolling in, they can't keep up with demand. Bikes are just being stocked. And so the bike companies are kind of doing some downsizing. You saw that with Brian losing his sponsorship with Ibis. There's still a great relationship there, but like they're not sponsoring Brian anymore. I know some people that have been affected on the other side of it, where they've got either laid off or there've been like financial cutbacks and stuff like that. So these things are all very real. And so we also like chose a very like difficult time to become successful, unfortunately, because as all this stuff started to take off, like I'm like, oh, let me just snag up a bike sponsorship real easy now. It's not that easy because like, yeah, everybody is kind of in a flux and they're not quite sure where they're going to be in the coming year. So yeah, it's been an interesting time. And like, so Josh has been doing great coverage of that and he's been doing really well at it, you know, so it's cool to watch and it's educational for me. Like I didn't know a lot of this stuff. So sometimes you need somebody to kind of lay it out for you and help you understand the industry better, especially when someone like me, who's kind of like in the industry, right? To a certain extent, right? I'm part of it, but I don't know as much as I should. So stuff like that's really helpful for me. If you guys aren't familiar with that, I suggest you go look it up because he is a smart man. He's cashing those YouTube checks 100%. Okay, stand by. I'm catching up. Hold on. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? By the way, Josh, you should see the screensaver that I made. I made a screensaver. Can I show it to Josh real quick because he's in here? Oh, wait, hold on. Can I? This is the new intro, Josh. And in case you guys missed this, I spent like an hour and a half making this today. So can I show it off real quick? Is that okay in chat? Is it okay? Josh, I just want you to see this because I think you'll appreciate it. Here we go. Okay, you guys get the idea. I'm gonna improve that so like it'll end in the center or something, and then when we start the stream, I'm like right there. Like that's maybe the ideal scenario, but like it's just so stupid. I don't know why I spent so much time doing it, but I got in my head that I wanted to make it, and I did. So, anyways, take it for what it's worth. All right. Oh, John found it. It says November 1st, 2010. Colorful Cocina. He found it. I'll be damned. It does exist. We got a home remodel. And it was broadcast to the world. I didn't have a mustache at the time, I'll tell you that much. Trail Monster says, hope to see you all out in Sedona soon. Yeah, buddy. Good. I'll see you out there again for sure. I'll be out there all the days. I'm coming out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this time. So it's going to be fun. Like I said, we're doing a group ride on Saturday at 1 o'clock with Trail Monos. They got it up on their page, the schedule and all that stuff. So if you guys want to come ride with me, we're just going to hang out. You're welcome to come. You're welcome to come. All right. Let's see. What else? Any questions for me while we're in chat here? I'll be in Sedona on the week of the March 14th. What week is the fest? Oh, it's the weekend before, Ken. Get it together. March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I think, is the Sedona Fest. So it's like, yeah, basically the weekend before. You got to change all your plans, Ken. Trust me. Change all your plans. Yes. You got to do it. Josh says, I'd watch that for hours like the DVD logo as a kid. I know. Oh, my God. I know. It's so true. Yeah, it's I don't know why I needed to make that, but I made it. Now, I have the idea if I can take off the thing where it says like Calirado Kid live stream starting soon, if I could remove all that stuff, it'll be easy enough, and then I'll just make it generic. So if I ever need to take a break, like I'll be like, oh, I got to go check on the kids. Boom. Waiting screen, just sitting there floating around. It has multiple uses. It has thousands of uses. I mean, what can you think of a use that it wouldn't work in? This is the stupid stuff I spend my time on, guys. This is why you wonder, like, you know, sometimes the content's a little erratic, but it's because like I just spend my time in weird ways. As a side note, can I give you guys a little tease real quick? Since you guys everybody in here is always like the loyalist of all. You guys are in here because you like behind the scenes stuff. You're here because you like the Calirado Kid. Can I show you something I'm working on? You guys, anybody in chat might know what this is. You may or may not. Okay. Can I show you something? I'm not going to show you any footage. Okay, I don't know what it looks like yet. I haven't started editing this, but there's a start of something. I've got a script for an actual YouTube video for this too, but it's kind of top secret. I just haven't had time to film it. All right, but I did a short that's theoretically going to go up. Now, I got to look at the footage. If it's not funny enough, it's not going over the air. Okay, guys, this is important to me. Here it is. You guys, anybody in chat's been around for long enough is going to know what this means. You guys know what this means? Back. It's back in one form or another. It's back. The trailhead troopers are back. At least like me. I got some stuff. I'm thinking about it. I'm figuring it out. I'm thinking of ways how to integrate this into like short form content. And I got a great idea. And I think like I got to look at the footage that I shot. If it's funny enough, it's going to come into play. But I haven't edited anything yet. Okay. I haven't edited anything yet. So I gotta look at it, and if not, like I said, I got a full script, but I need to play 3 characters in it, so there's gonna be a lot involved. But I just need time. I was going to film it on Friday, but I was running out of daylight. So we're close. I've got some great ideas on how to implement this into like kind of, anyways, we're working up to it. I wanted to show you guys. I'm really kind of stoked about it. I got the uniform like basically in the truck now. So it's on the standby. I went and bought, like, can I tell you the story behind this? Like, so I wanted to film some Trailhead Trooper stuff. So I was like, man, I forgot. I need a couple things for the costume. I need a box of matches, and I didn't have a box of matches. So I was like, dude, I got to go to like a whiskey shop or something. Like, so on the way to Folsom, there's a whiskey shop. I stop in and I'm like, hey man, do you have like just, I've bought stuff from him before. I was like, do you have just like a box of matches? But I always feel weird about going into a place and not buying anything. Like I like, that's why I never walk into craft stores ever. Like if there's a store selling like charcuterie or something, like knives and forks for charcuterie, like a very specific thing. If you walk in there, there's nobody in there. You just get eyeballed left and right and you feel so bad you don't buy anything. I can't do it. So I walk into the shop and I was like, hey, do you have any like just like matches? And I'm like, oh, let me just, I'm going to grab this bottle of bourbon too. And it was like $80. I didn't realize it at the time. And I was like, it's not that much. I mean, you know how it is. But I grabbed the bottle of bourbon and he's like, okay, like it'll be 80 something bucks, whatever. Cool. Like here he goes. I'm like, oh, like, did you have the matches too? He's like, oh no, I told you we're out of matches. I'm like, damn it. So I'm out $85 already on this venture. Then I found out there's a smoke shop right across the street from Folsom Lakes. I'm like, I'm going to stop into the smoke shop. I walk in there too. Gonna ask for matches. And I'm like, I can't just ask for matches and not buy anything. So I bought a $10-something cigar. I was like, I'll buy a cigar. So now I got a cigar. And luckily he had the matches. I was like, hey, I was buying the cigar. And this is the best part about when you buy a cigar. Like the guy's like, they're going to take care of you. He's already handed me the matches. I was like, hey, do you have any matches? He's like, right here, dummy. I was like, all right, fair enough. So anyways, I'm definitely in the hole on this whole thing already, but it's, yeah, it's, there it is. If you guys aren't familiar with this, ladies and gentlemen, in chat, there exists a video on my YouTube channel entitled, I don't know if I actually called it Trailhead Troopers or not, but there exists a prototype video that happened years ago that we shot. The idea was Reno 911 on mountain bikes. We called it Trailhead Troopers. To me, it's still one of the funnest things we've ever shot. It's pure irreverence. It doesn't edit well. Like if I went back and fine-tuned that, I probably could re-release it. In fact, maybe I should do that. But I filmed this giant elaborate chase sequence with a following drone. Like we were chasing bike some was the perp and all this stuff. But the core idea is there and it always has been. So I really want to bring that back. The idea of just guys troopers harassing guys on the trail for blatant violations. You know, the one that I came up with here recently, and I'll tell you guys because you're here. The idea is, imagine if you will, as you paint the scene. Okay, there's a guy riding his e-bike out on the trail. Okay. Hauling ass, having a blast. Stops for a second. Whew! This bike is quick. You know, I'm feeling good on this bike. You know what I mean? This is feeling good. All of a sudden, you hear off screen, like, let's just, hold on. Hold on. Can I go off screen? I can't go anywhere off screen with this mic. Hold on. Okay, you hear off screen. You hear, all you hear is this. You hear, hold it right there. You know what I mean? Anyways, the trooper's there. He says, hey, I'm going to need to see your ID. Wait, what do you need to see my ID for? What are you talking about? Like, I'm just riding my bike. He's like, don't be smart. Just give me your ID, all right? Check the ID. He's like, that's what I thought. You're not over 65. The guy's like, of course I'm not over 65. Rule number 72 of the mountain biking handbook says you cannot ride an e-bike unless you're over 65, all right? You know what I mean? Where it's like those blatant, it's those things that people say that are mountain bike law. Even if you're on an e-bike, you feel bad about telling people how young you are on an e-bike. It's those little situations that we could make fun of. Those little things that exist in the mountain biking world that are unknown rules that exist only because someone feels inconvenienced by someone else's life choices. And that's one of them. So we've got some ideas here. We're gonna start bringing it all together. And yeah, then you can have guest appearances, guest officers. You could have I always thought it'd be funny. Like Bobo and I were talking, it'd be funny to have Bobo be dispatch, you know, where he's just he has a couple lines in every video where it's just like, all right, hold on, I gotta phone this one in, you know, and Bobo's he's just in his the dispatch room, you know, we're gonna figure something out. I don't want to speak for him. Anyways, we could get anybody to do that too. I think it'd be funny. Anyways, Trailhead Troopers exists, and I do want to start integrating it a little bit more. I think there's a lot of fun to be had there, and I think that we could do some fun stuff. I think, anyways, that's what I'm trying to do. I'd love to do more of it. I just I got so many ideas, and it just all the time in the world is what I need. So if Josh could send me over some of that YouTube money, then we could really get working on things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, we've been making moves in the right direction. So I partner with International Mountain Bike Association. We're making a series of 3 educational style but fun e-bike videos, which is cool. Like, to me, like they wanted to do something that was like educational and fun. And I was like, well, I can figure out a way to spin this, make it informational and fun to watch. Like, I could do that. So we've got 2 in the bag. We haven't released the second one yet, and I got to film the third one, but that's been good. And then, like I said, this partnership with Everyman Jack is going to be rad. We've got some stuff coming with them. I'm really excited to work with them. They seem outdoorsy. They seem rad. They're totally like, let's make some fun stuff. You know, I'm up for that. I like that. So it's been an interesting journey, guys, and I'm stoked to say that like there's actually revenue coming in from this whole process. And believe it or not, I don't know. It's kind of working, isn't it? I don't know. What did I hit on YouTube? Is it like 72,000 something now? Not that I'm keeping track. Yeah, anyways, Josh is still better than me. It's fine. Everything's fine. Matt says, do you think it's bull crap that I got kicked out of a race for listening to music? Why would you get kicked out of a race for listening to music? What kind of race was it? I don't race very much. I don't know how much experience you guys have with mountain bike racing, but my experience is very, very minimal. Now, I like the idea of it. To me, like when I see these enduro races and stuff, it seems like people are just hanging out, having a blast, and then doing their downhill sections and just having a good time. Like, some of those races look so fun, man. I could totally get involved. I don't think I'd be super competitive at it. Like, I'm not, and most of the people probably aren't. But like, I'm just like, I always compete with myself, which is the case with everything. When I'm working on videos and stuff, I'm looking at how I can improve what I did last time, or I have an idea, like how can I execute that? I'm always competing against myself. And so like the one XC race I did out in Prescott, which was the Whiskey 50, I did that one, and they hired me to come out as like do a social media takeover and stuff. And so I ended up doing the 30+ mile one with Bike Son was out there with me. We had a blast, but boy, oh boy, was that arduous, man. That was a lot of work. And that was another thing where it's like, man, in the middle of the ride, like coming towards the end of the ride, I was like, I would never, ever do this again. Why would anybody do this? This is awful. And then when I got out of it, like, because the whole experience was really cool. Everybody was really cool in the race, all that stuff. And then when I got out of the race, I was like, you know, all it was exhaustion talking because I was so tired. And I really can't remember the last time I pushed myself so hard that I didn't think I was going to make it out. You know, I was like, wow, that was a hell of an experience. And then when I got out, like, wasn't but an hour after that, like that me thinking in my head, like, I would never, ever do this again. Then I'm like, I think I could beat my time next year. You know, it's funny how quickly that changed. It's like that self-improvement, that how do I push further? How do I I don't know. I think I could do better than that. Like, anyways, like that was a fun experience. I don't have much racing, but what kind of race makes you turn off your music? That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. I did not know that was a thing. I guess it makes sense. I don't know. Mediocre Market Biker says, how old were you with that House Crashers video? 25? Maybe. I'd have to look it up. 2010. Math isn't my strong suit. Neither is keeping track of time. You guys are asking a lot of me. Josh says, here's paycheck for your cigar and matches. Can't wait for more Trailhead Troopers. Yeah, buddy. I'm stoked, man. Thanks for jumping in, Joshy boy. Next time I come to Washington, I'll plan it when you're not on vacation. We'll hang out for sure. I don't think you're coming to Sedona this year, right? It's a lot to ask. So if anything, I do want to make another trip up to Whistler. I think I need some redemption on some stuff up there in Squamish and everything anyway. So maybe we'll make it happen. Maybe we will make it happen. Yeah. No speakers on races. I did not know that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this is the opportunity if you guys are here. If you want to ask a couple questions or something like that, we could do that. I kind of told the stories I wanted to tell. We talked about some stuff. We talked about Sedona. There's a couple other events coming up like Sea Otter. Sea Otter I think I'm going to go to, but I come to find out that Sea Otter is set on the weekdays. Like, did you guys know this? Like, Sea Otter set like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, what kind of maniacs have a mountain bike festival in the weekdays? Like, no, so I'm like, I got to take a day off work to go down to hang out and talk with people. Like, oh, God. I could do it. I'm going to do it. At least one day, but if it was the weekend, I would at least maybe plan a couple days. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I plan on being out at Sea Otter. I will be out in Sedona, obviously. And then Dirt Days is coming up in May. I will be there as well. Josh says, I am not. Everyone is making me regret that so much. It's going to be fun, man. There's going to be a lot of people out there, but you know how it is. We're all just going to hang out. Sedona is always fun. So there's a couple events coming up. I know of, everybody was saying, why am I thinking? I can't remember. Bentonville Bike Fest is coming up as well. I don't know a lot about it, but it looks rad. I don't know that I'll make it. Like I said, unless some sponsor or something comes into play and says, hey, we'll take care of the cost. Because otherwise, I got all this travel coming up. And my understanding is there is talks of a Spain trip possibly in October. And if I could line up that trip, that's like going to take precedent over anything else. So I think that's going to be rad if it comes to fruition. And I realize that quickly, months are just flying by right now. And so we've got to start getting stuff on the books. I love the idea of going out to do some riding in Spain. How incredible would that be? One of the biggest regrets I have, not regrets, but one of the downsides of everything is just I would love to travel more, but it's hard to do that. It's a lot of money to travel. It's a lot of inconvenience. It's especially it's just a lot, but I'd love to travel a lot more. I'd love to do 2 big trips a year or something. How rad would that be? We're working up to it, but if I can go to Spain, that'd be rad. Josh says, a real question for the Calirado Kid. What bike part, component, piece of gear that you love that you think doesn't get enough love? Also, Sea Otter is lame, man. So I know Sea Otter is lame. Sea Otter is more of an industry event. I just go around and talk with people and hang out. That's really it. But I don't it's just not, it's not as fun. Sedona's way funner, but Sea Otter's closer to me. So it's a short enough drive that I could do it in a day, which is what I did last time. And it's I'll just go hang out. It's good. You meet people and all that stuff. But yeah, 100% agree. What bike part, component, piece of gear that you love that doesn't get enough love? I know, to me, the multi-tool is still the greatest thing I've ever bought. And I know people talk about you always need a multi-tool, but that thing is just the just rock solid. I basically I don't even have any tools in the garage. I just usually when I work, Josh is going to get pissed off. Some of you guys are. I don't even have a set of tools. I just grab my multi-tool and I go in the garage and work on my bike with my multi-tool. It's the unsung hero of my mountain bike career. It's I wouldn't ride without it. Not a chance. The things that come in handy. The only thing it doesn't have is a knife on it or something. And maybe a flint so you could start fires. Then we could just really just get into some stuff. But it's so funny how that little thing is just always in my pack. And I like it. And I bought the Crank Brothers one or whatever it was. And it's always been there. It's never once I've even thought about replacing it because it just always works. It's damn it. I think it's so good. But if there may be something else I'm not thinking about. That doesn't get enough love. I mean, grips, I couldn't tell you the difference between most grips. Same thing with handlebars and stems and all that stuff. I couldn't tell you the difference between Kashima coating and not. Wireless shifting to me was a letdown to a certain degree. It was good for a little while, and then it just had all the same problems my normal shit had. So I don't know. But yeah, those little things that come into play, my handsaw. The handsaw that I bought is one of my favorite things. I always like packing the handsaw. After a big storm, I throw it on my hip pack and I ride around and I feel a little bit of pride knowing that if I come across a tree, that tree's gone. All right. It's gone with my handsaw. And that thing was a $20-something purchase. I am a firm advocate that everyone should own a folding handsaw. There's a 10-inch one that I bought from Corona on Amazon. There's plenty of other ones. They have them at Home Depot too. Who cares what you buy? They all work great. But that thing is just worth its weight in gold. I can't even count how many times I've come out after a big storm, taken out 2 trees and felt like an absolute beast, and you get your upper body workout too. I like that. So I don't mind taking down trees, but those are my 2 things. So a multi-tool and the folding saw are the things I enjoy the most. I don't know. Somebody chat. You guys might have some good answers to that as well. Tim says, bro, you need to get on a radio station or do a podcast. Yeah, a lot of people have asked for the podcast. I just don't think the mountain biking industry wants a podcast. I think about this quite frequently, and Seabass and I talked about it recently too. Josh used to be on a very famous podcast called the Joey Podcast. But if you look at it, if you look at the landscape, there are a lot of successful YouTubers that did podcasts or have done podcasts or are doing podcasts that have almost very little following. It's so funny because even look at IFHT or whatever, right? They make Mahalo, my dude, and all those guys, right? Aren't they the same thing? I don't know. They started one called Feeding Something. And if you look at the followers on YouTube, it's very low. It's for a channel that has hundreds of thousands of subscribers on their main channel and then that. And then you look at all this other stuff and you just don't, I don't know, if the audience wants it. I just don't know if mountain bikers listen to mountain bike podcasts. And if I did one, my specialty is not tech, it's pure entertainment. So you have to think I mean, I could certainly talk for more than an hour or two. This is an hour and a half in, we're still going. But I just don't know yet. I do like the idea of it. I always thought maybe that's something that I would put if I did a Patreon or something where it's fan specific, where I can talk about stories like this and behind the scenes, the stuff that you guys care about that the general audience wouldn't care as much about. I don't know. The idea of slogging through that for 3 years with no pay or compensation just sounds bad for me right now. Now, then on the flip side, if there was a situation where I started making enough money that I could do this full time, which seems highly unlikely, maybe someday, I'm still working at it. But like, then I would have all the time in the world to record a podcast once a week or once a month or whatever it was. Like, because right now the limiting factor is I only have so much time in the day. I barely have a chance to ride, let alone everything. So, right, squeezing it all in. But then the floodgates could open. I could do more YouTube videos. I could do a podcast. I could do all this stuff. But that all really depends on these other things, right? So everything's got to fall in line. It's fine. I mean, one of these days. I like the idea. I do. I love jumping in. I love talking. I love just doing stuff. But like, I think of the idea of just like having no following at that for a long time. It kind of like hurts my soul for some reason. I don't know. One of these days, because I could probably get a good partner on the podcast too. Somebody pretty rad. You know, I think Jess the Maker would make a really good partner on the podcast. She'd be funny, a good like person to bounce stuff off of. Seabass, like him and I did talk about, not necessarily him and I doing a podcast, but the idea like maybe the reason why the traction hasn't been gained is because nobody's doing it to the level that it needs to be done. But I think there's a lot of great podcasts out there. Robert, his B1 Biker Bar, I said B1 is excellent. He's interviewed almost everybody in the industry, I feel like. It's so funny, and I listen to it. You always learn something. It's like he's doing a great job at it. Mark from Spokesman MTB is doing a great job at his podcast. Like, there's a lot of people doing really good stuff. Man, there's so much good content out there. And like the idea of interviewing people, it's certainly, I like hanging out with people, but I don't really necessarily like interviewing people. Like, I'm not trying to get the scoop. Like when I had Seabass over for the fireside chat, we're just hanging out, you know, and like we just tell stories, and that I don't want to like, I don't really necessarily want to ask the tough questions. So maybe somebody needs it. I don't know. Josh says, speaking truth, Joe, I love my 1-Up EDC Lite for that reason. Yeah, I mean, that multi-tool it's an unsung hero. Everybody kind of knows they exist, but nobody puts it on a pedestal. If I was to send out plaques, like YouTube sends out plaques, I would send it out to multi-tools. That to me is like something that I just never have without me. I love it so much. First under the radar trail system you've ridden, favorite under the radar. Oh, I can't talk about that. You know, I can't talk about that. I rode some stuff outside of Seattle. I ran into some guys out there. I was just going to ride, and they're like, hey, we got some stuff that we know of. I was like, okay. So they just showed me around. It was up in Tiger Mountain. They showed me some stuff, and I was like, that was a blast. Like, I don't know. They don't even know if they had trail names yet for the stuff, but that was super fun, man. Super fun. Pedal bearings. No, Vince, that doesn't count. Bash guards. I've never had a bash guard on either. I don't care about that. Justin, you put bash guards. You don't need to protect your chain. You just buy a new chain. It's easy. Carry 2 extra chains on road trips. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Do you ever come out to the Carolinas? No, I haven't yet, but he's talking to Spokesman. Damn it. This is supposed to ask me questions. Turn your live streams into a podcast. I do, Mark. I do. But like if there's something that's like very visual, like the one I did with Outside Brennan when I was down in Southern California, I usually don't put those in like the podcast. I didn't put that in a podcast form because a lot of stuff we're doing is like we're actually 3D printing, right? We were making the Mustache Guard. And all that stuff was kind of visual. Like to me, the Fireside Chat's very visual too. It works as a podcast, but like to me, the visual element, like I didn't spend 2 hours setting it up for you guys to come listen to it, or I don't want you to come watch the camera angles and the art form behind it. That's all. I think it's possible. I do. I put them in audio form. I always do. But yeah, you can go find it. Feeding ourselves. That's right. So there are people, successful people doing podcasts in the mountain biking game. I just don't think there's a market for it. I don't know. Do you guys listen to them? Josh says, a mountain bike podcast is definitely a labor of love. I thought a great podcast would be bringing on guests who could talk through places to ride and what makes them special. I know, and all that stuff is very interesting and good to listen to, but like, man, I just don't think there's a market for it. I really don't. BKXC's podcast is a great example where he does it behind Patreon. So he answers questions, he talks, tells stories, and it's something that people, the core audience, really enjoys. Like, and that's easier to talk. Like, if you come in here and doing live stream with you guys, it's easier to talk because we all kind of have rapport to a certain degree. You guys jump in here, we jump in chat, we talk about stuff. It's like you guys are people that actually like the channel. Like, you're willing to come in here and spend a Saturday night and hanging out. The majority of people don't do that, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But like, you guys are the people that want to hear the stories about me going in and doing an acting gig and doing all that stuff because we're like, we all kind of know each other. It's rad. I dig it. So it's very specialized. Like, I don't know. I like that Brian's got his kind of behind the Patreon because then it's just very specific. It's like, it's telling people what they want to know. Matt Shat wants a free bike. I know, but you can't have a free bike. You got to work for it. You got to start making stupid content until somebody gives you a free bike. Yeah. Josh knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, biker's great. Biker bars are great. I love it. Tough question is about PP time. Need a camo cape. Oh, Jesus. Why did I read that? Justin, what are you doing? Yep. Octodad's coming in here all the way from New Zealand. Wow, he's wet. I'm assuming that means it's raining. That could be true. Let's see. Rose says, Calirado, man, haven't tuned in a while. How's it hanging, my guy? Good to see you, Ro. Thanks for jumping in here. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done a live stream, so I don't know if you've been missing much. It's the last one I did was in Southern California with outside Brendan. It was a blast. I mean to do more. I just got busy. Honestly, like we talked about it early on the live stream, the idea of like a winter riding depression to a certain degree, like not a real depression, but the idea that it's dark out every time you get home, you can't ride. The weekends that you do want to go out and ride, it starts raining really hard. You're like, oh, I don't really want to ride in the rain today. Like I wanted to go do this stuff. You just want to see sunshine. And so I know I'm being whiny, all right, but I'm just saying I'm coming out of it. The sun's been shining lately. I've been feeling good. I got a chance to get out on a ride. I've been outside. It's amazing what sunlight can do for you. It's one of those things that when COVID did hit, I was like, the best advice I had for people, and like I was already fully into this, like the best advice I could give to you is go for a hike. Go outside and just get some sunshine and see some trees and get some fresh air. Like amazing, like what that will do for your just your mindset, like instantly revived, you know? And that's what, like, I think a lot of us, when we go on rides, we get that, right? You go on a ride and you just feel good. Like, despite the fact that you may have to do a lot of climbing during that ride and you hate it while you're in it. But when you get back, man, you feel good. Your mind's clearer. It's all that stuff. And so like, that was the best advice I gave people during that whole process. Like, man, just go outside for a little bit. Like, doesn't need to be, you don't have to go to the mall. People were just freaked out to be around people. Where I was like, just go hike, go to nature. I think a lot of people just rediscovered nature when that happened. Whether or not they're still there, I don't know. Trails aren't too crowded, but anyways, there it is. Mike on a Bike says studio looks nice. Yeah, it's really good. Like, I'm really stoked about this space, and it sounds good. It looks good. I've got some additions I want to make and some other things, but it's having my personal space is great. It's my own little workspace in here. How's the meat? I haven't smoked anything for a while either. What's your dream vehicle? Man, I've always been a Mustang guy, Cyclone. I grew up, and my first car was actually a 68 Mustang, a straight 6 3-speed that my grandpa gave me. And so I would drive that to school. I loved the body style. The 68 was the best year, in my opinion. And then, like, when I got out of high school, I got a job that was far enough away that I had to go on the freeway. And the Mustang, the 68 with a straight 6 wasn't great. So I got a 94 GT Mustang. It was a 5.0. I was driving that around. Then eventually I got a 2010 Mustang. It's had a 4.6 liter in it. And then when 2012, when they came out with the 2011, they came out with the 5.0. I bought a 2012 with a 5.0, traded in the 4.6. So I've had 4 Mustangs in my lifetime. And now that I got kids, it's highly unlikely I'll ever get a Mustang again. It's just such a specific use vehicle. It's just like the only way I would drive it is if I wanted to go just drive around. Like it would be like, because I couldn't haul anybody in it, you know, like they could sit in the back and they'd have fun. But like I'd do it for track days and stuff. But like a truck is much more useful for my daily life. I can haul my bikes. I can haul all my gear in there. It's like, dude, the trucks just make so much more sense. So like I do love, like if I could get like a GT 500 or a GT 350, that might be my dream car. But it's just not in the cards anytime soon because it's just purely a leisure vehicle. It would just be like for fun. I wouldn't daily drive it. I wouldn't like it. Just like that just seems like a massive expense to have just to like have fun every now and then. When realistically, we got a lot of fun on our mountain bikes, don't we? Like hauling ass downhill, like that's a pure adrenaline rush sometimes, man. And it's like that's one of the best parts about mountain biking. It's just how much adventure and fun you have on that thing. It's like, oh, baby. Yeah. Okay, what do we got? I'm catching up with you guys in chat. Stoked you guys are here. I won't hold you guys here all night long, but we got plenty of questions, so this is a good time to do it. Soon enough, my friend, we'll be back making popcorn in your drawers. Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's going to be 110 in no time, bro. 100%. By the way, it's a funny story. I was out at Granite Bay doing some filming the other day, and I ran into a guy who was like, hey, like, what's up? Like, how's it going? Like, this happens a lot. But this one was like, hey, like, anyways, nice talking to you. Like, we talked for a little bit. He's like, I was like, what's your name, man? He's like, oh, Diego. I'm like, oh, I'm Joe, man. Like, great to talk to you. He's like, oh, by the way, like, I'm Mosey Forest or whatever on Instagram or whatever it was. I was like, no way. I was like, this is a guy, and we used to talk back and forth. This is a guy who has been following me since like I had maybe sub 500 followers or something. Like it was like crazy. And it was like, we used to talk back in the day about the American River Bike Trail and stuff. And I was like, dude, no way. Like, how cool is that? Like, I was like, and the fact that I remember that is so cool. But like, yeah, we used to chat and I was like, man, just hit me up. We got to go on a ride or something. But that was a cool story. It was interesting. When I go out to Granite Bay, when I go ride out there now, I almost need to wear a disguise, guys. Cause it's like, it's crazy how many people know who I am now. And so especially when I'm parked and like filming something, I am always happy to talk to people. So if anybody has ever done this to me in chat, which it's totally fine. You can always interrupt me. It's fine. But like, because I'm a talker. So like they stop and they're like, dude, love your channel. I'm like, dude, thanks, man. Like, you should see what I'm working on, right? Like, and then we just start talking until 20 minutes goes by. The daylight fades. I'm like, damn it, I lost my shot. Anyways, it's always fun for me, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm going to answer a couple of your guys' questions and then we're going to call it a night. We're coming up on the hour and 40-minute mark and I've talked nonstop, believe it or not. Now, Brian always complains when he does the old BKXC, always complains that his voice can't handle it. Well, I'm here to tell you, mine can. All right. So I can do 2 hours, no problem. But here we are. Let's see. Minivans are low key the best vehicles. Minivans are cooler than expected, but I would still never drive one, Joe. Never, never, never. I don't want to ever drive a minivan. I just get an F-150 and it would be like, yeah. John says I had a 2002 Mustang GT convertible. So much fun. Yeah, I did a couple track days on my 2012 GT Mustang. And I went out to, I've done obviously the drag strip, but also there's a place called Thunder Hill Raceway that's not too far from us in Sacramento. It's a way to do a controlled drive on an actual race course. And you can be in a controlled environment. So if you screw up, you just go into the dirt and you don't kill anybody. You don't hurt anybody. Like, man, as you evolve in age, you're like, man, I don't want to haul ass through the streets and just run over somebody. Like when you could do it out there in a controlled environment and actually learn race lines and stuff, it was an absolute blast. I would love to do that again. Like I would love to have a Mustang, but it'd be purely just for fun. So I just need a lot more ad revenue rolling in. Okay. Just need a lot more. Ooh, a 68 Bullet. That'd be sick too. Yeah. Who else has got questions for me before we call it a night? Got a Sea-Sucker rack for the Mustang, carry your bike. I know. I think that'd be funny. I know a guy, I've been talking back and forth with him. He does automotive stuff, so he's worked with Ford. I was like, what's the likelihood that at some point I can get a Ford sponsorship and get a Mustang with a bike rack on the top? Like, how sick would that be? I'm just saying anything's possible in this world. Anything at all is possible. Have you ridden Snow Summit Bike Park? I sure have. MTB Allen took me there. It was a blast. That's a cool spot, man. More importantly, Sky Park. Sky Park down in Southern California is one of my favorite spots in the world. It was like a mountain biking theme park. It was great. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Okay, let's see here we got here. You see a story behind it. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question, Brown. So Brown asked me about the shirt that I'm wearing. And if you look at it, it's an MTB NorCal shirt. It says Ride from the Ashes. So what happened is, a couple years back, and this tends to happen in California now, is that some major fires rolled through the Sonoma area, and they really did some havoc. They just burned down neighborhoods. There was just like massive damage, and so the MTB NorCal guys, this is one of the reasons why I love these guys so much, is they put out this shirt, they designed it, and they said all the proceeds from the shirt are going towards the firefighters and everything else and all that stuff that's going on out there, and so it was a great cause. It was a no-brainer. They did really well in sales, and they were able to contribute that money back to help out. And it's like, man, stuff like that is so huge. When you find people like that in the community, you got to support them. You got to ride with them. You got to hang out with them. It's like, they're my favorite. So they put on dirt days here locally as an event, and they do it's a mountain bike event, and all the funds from that, the majority of funds from that go towards the local trail organizations that help build new trails out here. And it's cool because what they do is, in the past, they've done it so, like, if somebody buys a booth, like a vendor, like they buy a booth, they, instead of giving the money to the NorCal guys, they donate a prize for the equivalent value, and then they raffle off that prize. So all the raffle ticket money kind of works towards, so thousands of dollars they can donate to local trail systems. And it's such a cool event. It's just like, it's purely supporting like Northern California at this point, like trail systems and community. And it's something that is amazing, man. Hopefully more people do it in their areas. I can only speak for where I live, but it's been really cool seeing that. And it's really cool, man. I just dig that stuff. And you realize like what a cool community this can be when you have the right people involved. And luckily I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of amazing people in this community. And there's a few that aren't, but like I just ignore them and then we move on because there's so much better that we could do with our time. And there's so many people doing good things, building trails, advocating for mountain biking and stuff like that. So we're on the forefront, man. It's a pretty cool time to be a mountain biker. I think it's only getting better. We're getting more trails. We're getting more access. We're getting all that stuff. It's rad, man. It's a good time. It's a good time. And we're working it out. So thank you for the question. That was a good question, actually. Great question. How about Mammoth? I haven't ridden Mammoth, although people tell me I got to ride Mammoth. Joe says Trestle Bike Park, a.k.a. Breaking Bumps the Ride. Dude, when I was riding Whistler, some of that stuff was breaking bump city, but then there were so many great trails out there that all you do is just go to a different trail and have an amazing time. Like there were some hidden gems out there that Paul told me about that were just incredible. By the way, somebody messaged Paul the punter and give him shit for not being in here tonight. I don't appreciate it. Not one bit. Okay. I texted him the other day. I know he saw my story post that I was doing a live stream tonight. You guys go give him shit. All right. Tell him, hey, Calirado said you weren't in his live stream. Why? What was going on? Guess he's got new friends now, huh? That's not true. Paul and I still talk all the time. Love Paul. Yeah, great Crosgate story. I'm from the East Coast and so I didn't know. Yeah, totally, Brown. Thank you for the question, man. It was really cool. And like always search out for stuff in your area. There could be crews doing stuff like that, and it's fun to be a part of that and just learn and know what goes behind the scenes too. I always like a local trail organization, Fat Track. I know all the people involved, so it's like fun talking to them and getting the stories behind how they're getting access to build stuff and things like that. I always find it interesting. To me, it's interesting. When's the Joey podcast coming back? Apparently never. But like, again, it's not unheard of that I start my own podcast. I'm not saying it won't happen. The conditions just have to be right. I think it's something that I wouldn't do unless this was a full-time thing, because like I have to spend my evenings editing videos, the things that progress all the stuff that I'm building. And the podcast would be a labor of love, like Josh said. And it's just it's so niche. I don't know. We'll see. One day, at the very least, we could do stuff like this, right? And this is fun. I like doing live streams more than I would like doing a procured podcast style thing. New Calirado Kid series, Breaking Bumps. Like Breaking Bad? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, Steve. I like it. Dirt Days was fun last May. Talked to you too. Almost crashed it. Yeah. I probably did almost crash a drone on you. You shouldn't fly drones over people, but that's my mistake. I'm not bringing the drone this time, all right? I'm just going to bring my mustache, all right? I'm not trying not to kill anybody with drones this year. Oh, man. What a day. What a day. Yeah. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. I'm stoked that you guys jumped in. Hopefully you got some entertainment value out of this thing. And we'll do it again real soon. I do like the idea of doing live streams. Again, one, answering questions real time, but also just storytelling. This is kind of what I like to do. So in the meantime, I've got some videos to edit and some riding to do. Stay tuned for Sedona stuff. That's going to be fun. Again, excited to announce a new sponsor of the channel. And nothing's officially official because I haven't signed it on paper, but Everyman Jack has jumped on board. They seem to really dig what I'm doing, and they seem to have a really great outdoor message that I want to deliver. And I can't wait to go down and hang out with them and just talk more. But I'm really stoked about that. The idea that, this can work, and that I've come from, being frustrated to we're having really great partnerships with companies, and like being fortunate enough to work with companies that like are okay with my creative freedom. And like, that's been so nice. Like Giro has been a great supporter. Shammy Butter's been a great supporter. Kettle Mountain, which is Jeff and the crew from Worldwide Cyclery, have been great supporters. And then of course, Everyman Jackson be jumping in as an official sponsor. Revel's been a great supporter. I talked with Adam, the CEO. They sent me over the Rascal, which is one of the best bikes I've ridden. It's pretty fantastic. So all that stuff has been great. It's only going to get better, but I've been very fortunate to have partnerships with people that appreciate what I'm doing, and hopefully you guys appreciate it. If you guys ever have any ideas, want to chat, most of you guys just chat me anyway, so just let me know. Stoked to do it. Glad we could do this for one other night. Seth, thanks for jumping in. You're going to have to catch up, buddy. We got a lot of good stuff tonight, but we're wrapping it up. It's almost at the 2-hour mark here, so my voice it's not even shot. Look at that. But, like whatever. Side note, I've been wasting entirely too much time playing Elden Ring. Does anybody play video games? Elden Ring is probably one of the greatest games ever made. It's incredible. All right, we're getting distracted. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end this night with my incredible screensaver. And I just didn't edit a separate one that has not the countdown on it, so you guys can just watch it for a little bit while I close it up shop here. Calirado Kid, hey Joe, great chat. Thanks for another entertaining cast, and thanks to all the viewers for showing love and support to Joe and the community. Party on. Steve, can't wait to see you in Sedona if you're going in there. If not, we'll hang out real soon anyways. RV, appreciate you being in here too. Says, bro, do more shorts. It's funny as fuck. I'm appreciative of that, man. It's been super fun. Some of them hit, some of them don't, but I always like what I make. And at the end of the day, that's all I could do, man. I know what videos do well. I know what videos I could make to have them be successful. And I make those, but then I also make stuff that I just know that won't be successful, that I just want to make. And like, I've been so fortunate for that people still have tolerance for it. Like there's certain videos, again, I know that what I need to do to make like 1 million view videos, and I don't make every video like that because I have other ideas too. I just want to shoot them out there. So it's a good mix of all kinds of weird stuff, and I'm stoked you guys dig it. And like I said, I'm hoping to ramp up some more big YouTube stuff too. And at the end of the day, we're just going to have a blast. So appreciate you guys jumping in here, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, here, I'm going to leave you with a screensaver. It's going to say countdown, but it's because I was too lazy to edit another one. So see you guys on the next one. If you missed it, make sure you just go start it from the beginning. I think it's entertaining from start to finish. And there you go. So here it is, the screensaver before we close it out. Appreciate you guys jumping in tonight. All right, see you later. Mediocre mountain biker, no, it will never hit the corner. I will never program that face to hit the corner of the screen, okay? Unless one day I do. If I ever do, you win an incredible prize. But until that day, that will never hit the corner, all right? I guarantee it. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. And no, wait, I swear, I'm done. Everything's done. By the way, did you guys admire the mustache mug that Outside Brendan gave me as a gift? This is probably, if I was to say it, one of the best gifts I've ever been given in my life. Now, Outside Brendan was very nice and nice enough to let me crash at his place when I was down there in Southern California. The way that worked out is a side story, by the way. Now I'm getting distracted. Look, the way that worked out is when I went down to Worldwide Cyclery to be on their podcast and hang out with them and all that stuff. I text Outside Brendan. I said, look, I know you live in Southern California. Where in Southern California do you live again? And he's like, oh, I live in the same area. I was like, what? Oh, that's where I'm going for Worldwide Cyclery. He's like, just come hang out. So we ended up hanging out for days. I was crashing at his place for like 2 days. I hung out with Worldwide Cyclery. I came back with an e-bike to borrow for a little bit. And we did the live stream from there. And he was such a courteous dude, man. He was like, he gave me this during the live stream. And then he was like, he just packed it in my stuff when I was leaving. He was like, you got to have this. I was like, you're the best. Outside Brendan's such a good dude, man. It's obvious why he passed me on IG so fast. He's a maniacal genius and I love every minute of it. So anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Okay. Trust me. We're done we're done. Everything's done. We're fine. Everything's fine. Okay. We'll see you on the next one. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That hurts a lot. So there's a reason why we only got a couple specific shots for that one. Because every time I put it on my nose, I think it's going to cause bleeding and aneurysms and all that other stuff. It works. It does work. It guards from mosquitoes and whatever else. But it's just okay. We're going to, it's good. All right. We're done. We're done.